is I am going to make this little journal, and it's just out of one piece of scrapbooking paper, and then it's got this, I just made, it's like a traveler's notebook. So I just made, it's like a traveler's notebook, and this is just some cream colored paper, and then I happened to purchase a tablet, excuse me, of brown and gray paper, and I just thought I would add that in there. So let's get started. All you're going to need to get started is a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. And if you want your pockets to be a little shorter, maybe 3 inches instead of, I made mine 4. This time I think I'm going to make it 3. So then my book is going to be almost 6. Let's see, what is this? I always do that the wrong way. So this is 7. It'll probably be about 8 by 5. And I think that's a good size. So I'm going to make my pockets. I am going to score at 3 1/4 inches. Okay? Then we are going to go, because we want a spine. And this is just a 1/2 inch spine. So I am going to score at 5 3/4. And then I'm going to score at 6 1/4. If you wanted more signatures, you could definitely add more signatures. Now, I am going to do a score. Make sure I'm in the frame. I'm going to do a score at a 1/2 inch at the top. I am going to do a score, and my page is not quite 12, so I'm kind of having to scoot it over. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch all the way down the side, and then a 1/2 inch right there. So we have scored it at 3 3/8, basically, right there. And then we scored it at, there it is, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, and then we scored it a 1/2 all the way around except at the bottom. Hopefully that all made sense. So we're through with the scoring. This paper, I'm sorry, this paper is kind of hard to see. I probably should have used the other side. I'm going to do all my folds. So this is my spine. Oh, I was going to do it the other way, wasn't I? Okay, well. There we go. I'm going to fold this up, and then I'm going to do my 1/2 inch folds on the side. This 1/2 inch fold you don't have to do. It just kind of gives the cardstock a little bit more stability by having that. I think my 1/2 inch or something is that side is off because it did that earlier. Okay. Start over. Okay, wherever we're going to do 1 inch from this line and 1 inch from this line. So basically we have 2 1/2 inch gap right there. Okay? Did that make sense? Hopefully that made sense. So now I'm going to take my scissors. Actually, let us just, okay, I should have picked some different paper that was easier to see. Okay, so we're going to go from this fold line that's right here to this 1 inch mark. And we're going to draw a line. Where did my pencil go? We're going to draw a line. This is where we're going to cut. And then when we cut this and we flip this up, that makes our flaps. So I'm going to just cut this apart. Okay. I want to cut way too much because I can't see. That's okay. So this is going to fold up, and this is going to fold up. So I'm going to cut this little part off a little bit inside of the fold. And then I'm going to do just kind of a little triangle just like that up. So we're going to cut this part up just to the inside and then do just a little triangle right there. So we're going to do the same thing up at the top. You could fold this down just like this. I'm just trying to get it a little bit crisper edges. So I'm going to do here. I'm going to then do just a little bit here. Not a complete triangle, but almost. And do the same thing here. And then do the same thing here. Okay. So now, this will fold like this. This will fold on top. We have here and we have here. So here is our notebook. Now I'm going to take my little precision tip glue. And I'm going to run a little bit here where the pocket's going to go. And then I'm going to run glue here. And then I'm going to press that down. And then we need to do the other side before we do the top. So we're going to do right here on the edge. Sorry, right here on the edge. Got to move my camera back a little bit. And then we're going to do that side. Press, give it a good press. And then we do the top. And see, that has a nice little lip over our corners. I want to make sure this stays folded. And then this is our notebook. I think this. Now we're going to make the book that goes on the inside. Now what I did, like I said, I have some sheets of gray paper and some sheets of, and this is just sketchbook paper. I'm going to just cut these edges off so it's a little bit easier to work with here. Now I'm just going to fold these in half. I use my bone folder to make sure to get a good crease. I'm going to do these. Whoops, I got 3 pages. Put that one down. This is already scored and ready to go. So I'm going to do like 2 pages. I'm going to start with the brown and use it as the cover. Then I'm going to insert a gray. I'm going to add some more pages of this. Kind of make sure it's all lined up. And I'm just alternating the gray and the, and you wouldn't even have to do this if you don't want to. You could just use just straight copy paper. Make sure my book is all together. And then I am going to measure how I want. This is going to go in the center. So I definitely don't want it any further down than right here. right here and right there. And I really want it to be a little smaller. So this right here is, sorry for reaching, and sorry that I'm out of camera. This right here is 5 from the center and 8 from top to bottom. So what I'm going to do, I am going to measure 4.5, and then I am going to measure 8. So it's going to be right there, and it's going to be right there. Okay? You can use a clip for this if you want. I have these big clips and I don't want to come apart. So I'm just going to hold those there. And that's going to hold that together. Let's get it over just a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I have a rotary cutter and a metal ruler. Very important. And I have a self-healing mat right here. I am going to, this mat makes it great because you can really line everything up. And all we're going to do, I have to stand up for this, it just works better, so pardon me. Be sure, keep your fingers out of the way. I know that sounds obvious, but you know, sometimes we just don't really think about things, we just do it, you know. Okay, I think I got everything except for that. There we go. So I'm going to just throw all this away. Now we're going to do this bottom, and then I'm going to go back and do the top. So I'm going to line this up, and this edge right there is the hardest piece to get to. I'm just going to tell you the truth right now. It is the hardest thing to do. So I apply a lot of pressure right there. See if we got it. And we've got some stubborn pieces. There we go. Alright, so that side is nice and square. I'm going to do the same thing and put this over here. And then I'm going to trim this one off. So now we have a smooth edged book. This is so much easier than doing, excuse me, than doing like a book binding stitch, because you can, when you're finished with your notebook, you can just take the brads out. We're going to use brads. And boy, do I wish I had saved all of my brads from a long time ago. I used to have all kinds of brads, and now not so much. Okay, basically that's the size of our book. I'm just going to fold this in half. I'm going to fold it in half. Now what I like to do is just fold up at the bottom about 1 inch. I don't measure. Then we're going to fold the top down about 1 inch. And once again, I'm not measuring. And then we are going to fold the bottom to the top. And we're going to get a good crease. Now when we go to make our holes in our book, this had glue on it, sorry about that. When I go to make our holes in our book, we're going to use these creases as where we want to put our holes. Okay, so I'm going to take my book, I'm going to find the center of my book. I'm going to make sure all my pages are lined up. I'm going to add this into the center of my book. I'm going to take my awl, and I am just going to punch holes all the way through. And be very careful And once again, make sure your hands are all out of the way. Okay, so now this is kind of the little, just a little tricky. Okay, so we want this to be in the center. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to mark where these holes need to be to make it a little easier. That looks pretty good. If you want to, you could always measure. And make sure that everything's straight. But it really just doesn't bother me if it's not. But I know it might to some people. It actually needs to go over some. Right there. Okay. All right. So we're going to punch our holes in here. I'm just going to punch it all the way in. Oh, that kind of tore the paper there. That's okay. And I'm going to punch my hole down here as well. So now I have 3 holes. Kind of made a mess of that one, but that's okay. I have my 3 brads that I'm going to put up through. I'm going to put this through the back into the front. This is the hard part, just getting the brads in. Let me do this. I'm going to hold that one. I'm going to hold that one. Wow! See. Okay, that one's there. That one's there. And then this one is right there. Okay, so there is our 3 brads. Let's try this. See if I can get them in there. They're wanting to go. I think my brad collapsed. That's the only hard part about the brads. Especially if they're really, really flimsy. They will definitely bend on you. That's why it's a little easier to do a few sheets at a time. So I will take my advice and I'll do a few sheets at a time. Okay. All right. Let me just make sure our holes are all punched. Okay. There we go. There we go. That one's kind of off a little bit, but that's okay. And then, like I said, the reason I like doing it this way is so that when your notebook gets completely filled up, all you have to do, I need to make sure I'm going the right direction, all you have to do is take the brads apart and add more paper. All right. I'm going to add top. Good. Okay. So now all you need to do is just fold those down, just like that. And then you have your notebook and you have your book. Okay, so I kind of like that because it ties this in together, and then I think I can add a little bit more to this one as well. And then I've got some music paper. The frogs have. Like, okay, this is real brittle. So this is going to go here. And then I have all these little pieces that came with this kit. Projects with stories to tell become art. Oh, that looks really pretty. Isn't that pretty? And I even have these little keys that I got. So what I think I'll do is I've got this. I'd like to add maybe just a little, maybe if I have some blue of some sort, and then add this to here on top of it with a little bit of twine. And then I'm done. I'm just going to call it a day.